My wife froze when I arrived at the party with her lover's wife. Before we start, please subscribe and like the video. I walked into that party with another woman on my arm and watched my wife's face drain of all color. But here's the twist. The woman beside me, she was married to the man my wife had been sleeping with. And we had a plan. Let me take you back to where this all started. 3 months earlier, on a night that would change everything. You know what, Jason? If I have to hear about your feelings one more time, I might actually fall asleep standing up. That was the moment. The exact second something cracked inside me. Emily, my wife of 7 years, stood in our living room, arms crossed, looking at me like I was a tedious email she didn't want to answer. I'm sorry I'm not thrilling company tonight, I managed. I thought telling you how I felt still mattered. Emily rolled her eyes and grabbed her clutch. It does, in small doses. But this heavy, mopey energy? It's exhausting. I wanted to scream. To remind her that I worked 60-hour weeks to keep us afloat. That I loved her still, despite everything. But none of it would matter. She breezed past me, spritzed on perfume, and said over her shoulder, "It's just dinner with friends, Jason. Don't wait up." The door clicked shut, and I sat there stunned. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One message. "She's lying to you." Just 4 words, but they landed like a punch. My thumbs hovered over the screen. Then it buzzed again. "If you want the truth, meet me tomorrow, 9 a.m., Cafe Driftwood." Don't tell her. I glanced at the clock. 11:42 p.m. Emily still wasn't home. I wasn't sure I even knew what my house was built on anymore. And something told me the ground beneath my feet was about to shift. The next morning, I sat at Cafe Driftwood, hands wrapped around a mug that had stopped steaming. Then she walked in. Sarah scanned the room, her eyes sharp but tired, pale green, almost gray. She looked like someone who'd been hurt in a very specific way and had decided to do something about it. "You're Jason?" she asked softly. I nodded. "You're the one who messaged me." She sat down and got straight to it. "My husband's name is Ryan. He's the one your wife's been seeing." I stared at the scratches on the table. There was something surreal about sitting here talking to a stranger about something so quietly life-altering. "I found their messages 2 weeks ago," she continued. "Her name's in the thread. So are selfies, hotel bookings. And last night, I watched her walk into the same restaurant he told me he was going to alone. That hit harder than I expected." "She told me it was dinner with old friends," I said. Sarah smiled, dry and ironic. "Yeah, Ryan said it was a business dinner. Amazing how social they both are without each other." We sat in silence for a few seconds. Then she leaned forward. "I want to follow them. Document everything. Not because I want to catch them. I already did. I want the truth. The full picture. And I think you do too." I hesitated. "What are you hoping to find?" Sarah looked straight at me. "Something I can't unsee. Something that makes leaving easier." And there it was. The truth behind both of our eyes. We weren't here to catch our spouses. We were here to free ourselves from doubt. "Okay, I'm in," I said. She smiled with the faintest trace of relief. "Good. I already have a plan." It started quietly. Sarah and I met the next evening. She had parked her car across from a high-end restaurant. "They're inside," she said softly. "Table near the window." She laughed when he touched her hand. That simple sentence knocked the wind out of me. I glanced across the street. There they were. Emily, my Emily, tilting her head, smiling like I hadn't seen her do in months. Ryan was speaking with casual confidence. "I took pictures," Sarah said, handing me her phone. There they were. Blurry but undeniable. Her hand on his knee under the table, his fingers tracing the edge of her wine glass. Later that week, we followed them again. Sarah caught them sharing a cab, sitting close, heads tilted toward each other. I waited outside the downtown Marriott while she snapped a photo of them entering through the side entrance. We met in dim parking lots, cheap coffee in hand, comparing notes like detectives too tired for disbelief. "You ever feel like this is someone else's life?" I asked one night. "All the time," Sarah said. Like I slipped into the wrong version of reality. We started noticing patterns. Same days of the week. Always a Tuesday night and a Thursday lunch. Never back to back. They had matching dinner reservations twice. Different names, same table, same hour. We kept everything. A growing archive of infidelity. Dates, times, photos, logs. I built a spreadsheet. She color-coded the calendar. In between the stakeouts, Sarah and I began talking about other things. Her job in publishing. My work in IT. We shared stories, compared notes on the lies we'd been told. She started asking about me. What Emily was like before all this. what I used to love about her. Emily used to laugh at my bad impressions, I told her. Fall asleep with her head in my lap during old movies. Insist on dancing with me in the kitchen when it rained. Sarah smiled. Sounds like she was once a real person. She was, I said. Or maybe I was just blind. One evening changed everything. We were watching what I thought was Emily's workplace. She'd said she worked for an arts nonprofit for 6 months. A fresh start, she'd called it. Something meaningful. We watched people file out of the glass doors. Men in sport coats, women with lanyards. But no sign of Emily. Sarah leaned forward. That's weird. She said she was staying late. If she's inside, why is everyone leaving? Then Sarah pulled out something unexpected. A printed company directory. I called yesterday, she said. Asked for an org chart. She flipped the pages and pointed to a list. That's everyone in development. No Emily Horn. No variation of it either. My fingers went cold. So where the hell has she been going every day? Sarah shook her head. I think we've both been looking through the wrong window. She staged a job, I murmured. For 6 months. But why would she do that? Sarah asked quietly. It's not just about hiding an affair. This is bigger. This is like she wanted to be someone else entirely. I thought about it. Emily had talked about wanting freedom. About feeling trapped in her old corporate job. About dreams she'd put on hold. Maybe this wasn't just about Ryan. Maybe it was about creating a life where she could be whoever she wanted. No accountability. No husband asking questions. She built an escape hatch, I said finally. A whole identity she could slip into whenever she wanted. Sarah reached out, her hand brushing mine. Not romantic, just contact. Human. I know it's a lot. It changes everything, I said. No, she said gently. It confirms everything. That's when things started to shift in the other direction. A week later, I was meeting Sarah at a quiet bookstore cafe. We'd been careful, always different locations, always discreet. But as I walked out to my car afterward, I saw her. Emily. Sitting in her car across the street. Just watching. Our eyes met for a brief second. Her expression was unreadable. Not angry. Not hurt. Just observing. Then she started her engine and drove away. My heart pounded. Had she followed me? How long had she been watching? That night at home, Emily was different. Quieter. She made dinner, set the table, but kept glancing at me like she was solving a puzzle. You seem busy lately, she said casually, sipping her wine. Lots of late meetings? Just work stuff, I replied, keeping my voice steady. She nodded slowly. It's funny. I've been thinking about us a lot. About what we've become. I didn't respond. Just let the silence hang there. Over the next 2 weeks, I noticed her watching me more. Checking my phone when I left it unattended. Asking pointed questions about where I'd been. It was like she knew something had changed, but couldn't figure out what. And then came the counseling session that changed everything. We were sitting in Rebecca's office. The therapist had asked Emily to share what she'd been feeling. Emily took a deep breath. I think Jason's been pulling away. And I understand why. I haven't been present. I haven't been the wife he deserves. She turned to me, eyes glistening. I want to tell you something. Something I should have told you months ago. My stomach tightened. I never took that job at the nonprofit, she said, voice shaking. I made it up. I know how that sounds. But I felt so trapped in my old life. The corporate grind, the expectations. I just wanted to feel free. To have time to figure out who I was outside of being someone's wife or someone's employee. Rebecca leaned forward. And what did you do with that time? Emily looked down at her hands. I explored the city. Took art classes. Wrote in cafes. I know I should have been honest, but I was afraid Jason would judge me. Would think I was irresponsible. She looked at me with what seemed like genuine vulnerability. I'm so sorry. I know I've hurt you, but I want to fix this. I want us to start over. Really start over. It was a masterful performance. The perfect confession. Just enough truth to seem honest, but leaving out the most important part. Ryan. I sat there, watching her, and realized this was her play. She'd seen me with Sarah. She'd panicked. And now she was offering me a limited hangout, a partial truth to prevent me from digging deeper. I looked at Rebecca, then back at Emily. Thank you for being honest, I said calmly. Emily's shoulders relaxed. Relief flooded her face. But I wasn't done. I kept going to counseling. Kept playing along. Emily seemed to think her confession had worked, that we were on the path to reconciliation. She made the bed again with hospital corners. She ironed my shirts. She packed my lunch with notes. Trying so hard. Love E. But I'd seen through it. The fake job confession was just another layer of deception. A strategic retreat to hold the line somewhere else. Meanwhile, Sarah and I continued our work, more carefully now. We knew Emily was suspicious, but we were close. So close to having everything we needed. Then one afternoon, Sarah texted me. Can we meet tonight? It's important. We met in the park. Sarah didn't look at me right away. She just stared straight ahead. You okay? I asked. I took a test, she said finally. A test? She nodded. Pregnancy. Everything inside me stopped. She pulled a folded slip of paper from her coat and passed it to me. Positive. My chest tightened. We hadn't meant to get here. It had been one night. One vulnerable moment after a long week, parked in my car under a sky smeared with city light. It wasn't passionate or reckless. It was quiet, almost reverent. A release valve we hadn't planned to open. Are you sure it's mine? I asked gently. I haven't been with Ryan in weeks, she said softly. I've been sleeping at my sister's place. He doesn't even notice. I don't know what to say, I admitted. You don't have to say anything, she whispered. This doesn't change your plan. I'm not walking away, I said after a long pause. Sarah looked at me then, really looked. Jason, you don't have to. I'm not walking away, I repeated. The final counseling session was different. Emily had prepared something. I could tell by the way she sat, hands folded, like she was about to deliver a speech. Rebecca asked how we were both feeling about our progress. Emily spoke first. I've been doing a lot of thinking. About us. About what I want. And I realize now that maybe we've both changed too much. Maybe we want different things. I stayed quiet, letting her continue. I think, she said carefully, that maybe we should consider a separation. Just for a while. To give each other space. It was brilliant, really. Make it seem like her idea. Control the narrative. Leave before being left. I looked at her calmly. You're right. She blinked, surprised. I am. Yeah, I said. I think we should separate. Permanently. Her face went pale. Jason, I didn't mean permanent. I meant just. I reached into my bag and pulled out a folder. Set it on the table between us. These are divorce papers. They're ready to file. I just need your signature. Emily stared at the folder like it was a snake. What? No. We were making progress. I confessed. I was honest. You confessed to a fake job, I said evenly. But you left out Ryan. The hotel rooms. The Tuesday dinners. The Thursday lunches. All of it. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. I stood up. I'm done, Emily. With the lies. With the performance. With all of it. I walked out of that office and didn't look back. The party was 2 weeks later. Emily's colleague's house. She'd invited me weeks ago, back when she still thought she could fix things. I confirmed I was coming. Just didn't mention I wouldn't be alone. I arrived 20 minutes late. Deliberately so. Emily's voice was already floating through the open windows, lilting and practiced. Pretending everything was fine. The driveway was full. Fairy lights overhead. Cocktail napkins with printed puns. Laughter rising in safe intervals. And then we walked in. Sarah by my side. She wore a soft green dress. Nothing loud, but it suited her. Calm, poised. Heads turned immediately. I scanned the room and found her. Emily, frozen mid-laugh, seated beside Ryan. For a moment, no one spoke. The air shifted, heavy with the weight of something happening. Emily rose slowly, her eyes locking on Sarah, then on me. Jason, she said, voice cracking. I gave her the kind of smile I might offer a stranger. Sorry we're late. Traffic. I stepped forward, reached into my blazer, and pulled out a manila envelope. Laid it on the center table. I thought tonight was perfect for introductions. There's been a lot of crossed wires lately. Secrets. Misdirection. But nothing clears the air like honesty. Ryan had paled considerably. Someone in the back muttered, "Oh my God." Emily's hands were shaking. She looked from me to the envelope to Sarah. I stepped closer. These are divorce papers. They've been signed. Just need yours. She finally found her voice. You don't have to do this. Not here. That's where you're wrong, I said louder now. Here is exactly where I have to do it. The room had gone silent. People stared, unsure if they were witnessing drama or history. And then Ryan reached for her arm. Some unconscious instinct. That's when Emily snapped. Don't touch me, she hissed, yanking away. And just like that, the performance cracked wide open. I turned to leave. Sarah followed. Behind us, Emily's voice rose one final time, panicked, desperate. Jason, wait. Please. I paused at the door, looked back just once, and said, You wanted freedom, Emily. Now you have it. And then we walked out into the cool night. 3 months later, I visited Sarah at the hospital. She was sitting up in bed, dark hair pulled back, a sleeping newborn tucked against her chest in a wrap of pale blue cloth. When she saw me, her eyes lit up with something gentle. Recognition. Belonging. He's perfect, I said, voice low. Sarah smiled, her fingers gently stroking the baby's head. He doesn't even know how much drama preceded his arrival. Maybe that's a good thing, I murmured. We didn't say much after that. Didn't need to. The air between us was calm in a way I hadn't known I craved. I held him for a while. His eyes fluttered under paper-thin lids. He didn't cry. He just existed, quiet and warm and real. Later, as I stood to leave, Sarah said, "You're welcome to visit any time." I looked at her, and for the first time, I saw someone I didn't need to decode. No lies, no masks. Just Sarah. "I will," I said. That night, back in my apartment, a smaller space now, one I'd rented on the other side of town, my phone buzzed. One message. "Emily, were you ever happy? Even a little?" I stared at the screen for a long time. The question hung there, impossible to answer. Because the truth was, I didn't know anymore. Maybe I had been. Maybe I'd convinced myself I was. Maybe happiness was just another performance we'd both mastered. There were so many ways I could have answered, but none of them felt true. Because sometimes there is no answer. Sometimes the question itself is the problem. I powered the phone off. Outside, the wind shifted direction, scattering petals from a tree I couldn't see but could feel. And I thought, not for the first time, we never know the exact moment something ends. But maybe that's okay. Maybe the ending doesn't matter as much as what comes after.